Hola, amigos, and welcome back to another episode of La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human, on location again this week down in our sister community of La Ecovilla. We're at the Peter Pan House, the home of Rosa Blanco and Gustavo Rojas, who we have on the podcast today. Rosa Blanco. She is a women's circle facilitator, a priestess of the Temple of Life, a holistic dentist, a mother of two, and she is one of the original members of our eco-village, Tacotal Collectivo. They spent early time on the land. It's going to be a great conversation with Rosa. That always is. We hope you enjoy. This episode of La Vida Verde podcast is brought to you by Guillaume Cellier Massage Therapy, offering pain-free relief at home, a most exclusive massage experience. Mention La Vida Verde podcast and receive 10% off your first treatment. Rosa Blanco, welcome to La Vida Verde podcast.
Gracias, humano. Muchas gracias. Finalmente.
Wait, no, in English, Rosa.
Vamos. Thank you, finally, human, my friend. I'm Tika. I need to bring up with the Spanish.
Yes, you are Tika.
I do.
And that's our first thing we're going to talk about.
Bueno, vamos.
Where did you, you're from Costa Rica, where? Where did you grow up?
Well, Costa Rica is so tiny. I have been living in the different provinces, but I grew up in San Jose.
In San Jose?
Sí, that's where I was born. Although my father's family are from Zarcero and my mother's from San Ramon de Alajuela, very nearby, where the Machuca Springs are. Then, yes, I have been living in the different provinces through my life.
Wait a minute. Your mom's family is from where the Machuca
Springs.
Really?
Sí, from San Ramon.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, from San Ramon. And Zarcero, your dad's family's from Zarcero.
Exactly.
Which is where we get our vegetables from.
Exactly.
Oh, cool. Okay. And it's cooler. It's all cooler in those areas.
Yes, it's hilly, it's mountain weather, and there's a lot of movement of organic agriculture there and watershed protection. My father was one of the pioneers with his brothers that realized that the water was like kind of a limit resource. And then they were creating and buying lots that were with that had springs just for protection.
Your dad was doing this like back in the day.
Sí, like 50 years ago with his brothers. He has a very big family. Then they were
Smart.
like intent with this, just for protection, buying lands.
And your father, I remember you telling me, was a preacher, a religious man.
Yeah, he was. He was, yeah. I think I receive a lot of inspiration from his presence and the way that he transmits the message in relationship with God. Very open, of course. Very open in a way of communicating from this spiritual side that we all have. Even if we believe it or not, we are all spiritual at the end of the time. And yeah, it was interesting to live in that atmosphere somehow of receiving information from him as a father, papa, and as a priest. Yes.
Right. He was a papa and a papa.
See?
So what about your mom? Did she engage was she a very religious person as well, or?
She's quite open. I mean, she is a spiritual person. I don't know if called religion, but yeah, he grew up and studied in a college in a high school for only women, and it was directed by nuns. And she was very linked into this Catholicism, and yeah, in a very respectful way. My grandmother as well. She was very religious and spiritual, with somehow an openness in order. I remember telling my grandmother about my experiences in women's circles with plant medicines, and she was always wondering and always never judging, and this kind of create a space for me to express in a very open way with her, and then receiving back from her many things, like for example singing. I remember her always singing, and when I remember who taught me about singing, it's her. Like seeing her always so
Like in
happy and
church or
joyful.
something, or just
Always
singing all
sing
around.
church songs, of course.
Okay.
But it's inviting when you sing songs that have certain like theme. You
Yeah.
are inviting that to your
Vibrations.
life. Yes.
Yeah.
Then she was inviting that to the life, to the kitchen, to the space that she was moving. And yeah, I got this. I inherited this. I took this for me as
Well,
well.
and the reason I'm asking is because, I mean, for people who don't know you or don't live in, most people who live in the Valley, I think, have some understanding of like you as this somebody who leads ceremonies and you lead women's circles and you lead song circles. But for those of you who don't, this is what Rosa does. Like, you've almost inherited your family like lineage of like, I don't know, it seems so natural to you. You have a very strong presence, not like overwhelming and never like over like, but just very firm. I always feel so like there's a confidence and it's beautiful. It's and it makes people feel like safe and like I think held. I think that's why it's part of your nature. I don't know. It's how to explain it. I guess it's something you inherited from your family. Like if you were raised raised in that world, it makes sense.
Yes, it's interesting to see now my children, and for example, my daughter, she's 11 now, and seeing her like somehow very serious or very shy. And I remember myself being super shy and super serious in the school. Sometimes I was not very friendly in this sense because I was more like, shy. And at some point in life, I kind of like receive all of these influences and also directions of how to be or how not to be, what to do. Finish school, finish high school, finish college, be the best, and keep doing, have a career, make a family, and so on. And at some time, I kind of move out of this way that was like kind of marked for me indirectly. It was kind of indirectly that the social family pressure somehow, because that was the best.
What do you think it was that like? What was the motivation that pushed you out, dude? Was
Just
there
kind of, I don't know, synchronicities or like soul impulses somehow, because it was. I love my life, and at some point it was this kind of need that I was very like kind of losing all the tastes or flavors of life just by being so focused into just one thing that I didn't know what it was neither, because it was just the expectation of that. And then I kind of lose myself in a good sense, because this was the perception of my family. Oh, we lose you. They thought I was kind of crazy somehow because I finished, I graduated from dentistry and then I worked for a couple of years and then I was like, what am I doing? And then it was like, okay, I don't know. And then for me to start to this aspect that I'm just saying that I don't know, then it opened me the way of knowing more, of learning more. Then from what? From the experience, because there's no book that transfers you and anything. You can read everything, but you will not learn truly if it's not through experience. And I think traveling is very important. Then I encourage all the youngs and all the people that hasn't had experience or that have young like teenager sons and daughters, to encourage them to travel, because it truly brings up a new perspective, and especially if it's with somehow an intention that will come up in the moment. We cannot even direct their intention, it's
right. And you actually, so now you've touched on a whole bunch of things that I'm like, oh, we gotta go, because there's little time, and you have such a rich story. So you mentioned first, and we'll go in order, dentistry. You studied dentistry.
I did.
And you are our dentist. You are our spiritual dentist.
Oh, I'm so happy about that. Last time a patient told me, you love what you do. And yes, for sure. How come? I told my children, you need to love what you do. Otherwise, you shouldn't do it. It's just as simple as that. If you don't love what you do, just don't do that.
Right. And Rosa will be like, I remember the first time I got my teeth cleaned by you. I'm like sitting in a dentist chair, and like there's Palo Santo burning and Danit singing her spiritual ayahuasca music.
Depending on the mood, we will, depending on the patient as well, it will come out the specific music
You
or
don't need
frequencies.
you don't need nitrous when you've got Palo Santo and Danit.
It's true. It could be so simple as that. It's we want to be heard, and somehow when we are in a dentist, we cannot speak. Then we do need that space before, because there are information that will come up that will be important. Mouth, I often said, is like this sacred cave that it's ours, but we kind of don't know a thing about it. It's there, and somehow we can learn to take care of it or not.
Right, dentists are like, that's the thing. It's true. Like, how often do people that aren't dentists think about like what's going on in their mouth, or like unless there's some pain or something? It's true. It's this constant thing that's happening that we're just not even paying attention to, huh?
And the relationship of the mouth, like a bridge to the other organs in the body, and the relationship of the mouth with our psyche. It's so amazing. Then it's not just teeth or mouth. It's totally integrated, not only with the physical body, but with the emotional body, with the mental body. Then it's rich. Dentistry, it could be quite rich.
It can be. And I was going to say, we could probably do a whole episode on in dentistry and your vision on dentistry. I'm curious, like, what was it that got you motivated into doing that? Was it that? Did you have that impulse, or was it like...
I had a great teacher and inspiration. I was pregnant with my son, and then I would call to him because I love him, Dr. Orozco, Carlos Orozco, and he was the pediatrician of my son, and he told me, but aren't you a dentist? And
right, because you studied dentistry.
I studied dentistry 6 years. Then I worked for 3 years, and I started to travel. We came back to live in Tacotal after visiting many intentional communities in the world for almost 2 years and a half. And then 2 years and a half out of the practice. Then I came back. I was giving like some prevention talks to the pregnant woman and to children in school in La Libertad, just crossing instead of the road, crossing the river, and then arriving to La Libertad, have some talks there with the women and prevention. And then when I bring into the consultation with Dr. Orozco, he said, you will love this. And he bring me the first map of the teeth related with the organs. And that is the neural therapy base. And then I started to do my homework in the sense of study by myself. And then I realized I want to go deep into that. And my husband, Gustavo, that that he is my love, and then he is always supporting. He support me to go there and do my specialization in Colombia, while we already had the two of our daughter and son. And
so you went and did a specialized course in this.
See?
In neurotherapy.
See? Oh. And it was a true call. And thank God, because that was my path. If not, I was going to be I was not going to be a dentist anymore.
Yeah, because I remember, and because I remember when I met you. So just a little bit of history. We'll talk about your travels, because I want to talk about your travel. Gustavo also talked about it on his podcast, but I'd like to hear it from your experience. But you guys traveled around the world, right?
Yes, kind of. It was quite interesting.
You went to India. I remember there was like Oroville or something.
Mm-hmm. There was no schedule or destination. It was very guided. That was the time in my life that I felt the most guided from, we can call whatever, source, divine, whatever you call it. But it was arriving to a place, contact with another person, and then receive the information and feel, okay, this is the next destination, and so on, and so on, and so on. And then we moved from Europe, Germany, and then we went to India, and from India, we spent almost 6 months there in Oroville, and then moving back to Israel, and from Israel to Brazil, and then from Brazil by land up to Costa Rica, and visiting intentional communities and archaeological sites and spiritual sites, and for sure this changed whoever moves in that way.
And you two did it together as a couple or as friends?
We were already a couple. And when I moved to India, I did a course that is from the GEN, from the Global Ecovillage Network. Then I applied for a scholarship with them, and I won it. And it was people from all over the world having this course of 1 month and a half, in which we were studying about, it was like community design, it was how to design your community, eco-village design. And then I was certified on that. And then I thought, okay, after India, for sure, I'm going to move to Thailand and Japan and Australia and New Zealand, from all of the places that my fellows in the course were. And then I had all of this. And then Gustavo arrived in a very beautiful, romantic way without saying, because no phone in that moment, just kind of emails every other,
You didn't know he was
I don't
coming?
know, month. I felt he may come, but he didn't know. He kind of know where I was, but not specifically. It was this kind of very vague information. And he
Wow.
arrived playing his flute. Yeah, it was like a
Krishna.
totally,
Krishna
at
show
some
up.
point we were living in Peru, just like a parenthesis, we were living in Peru and we get married. And they bring out these spiritual names of Sita and Rama. And yeah, it was, our story is
In Peru?
very loving. In Peru?
They called you Sita and Rama in
Ecotrulis.
Peru.
See, we were living in a Hare Krishna temple that is there are called
okay.
Ecotrulis. And the Prabhu, we did a ceremony of union there. And the Prabhu named us this spiritual name. But yes, we have been together in so many lives. I can know.
It's amazing. It's really beautiful to like watch you two together and just how you support each other, and what you mentioned about him supporting you while you go to Colombia and do your thing. I mean, that's what real love is, right?
See, and also, couple can become, or should become, the spiritual couple, in the sense of evolving both together, because the realization that I am full by myself and you are full by yourself, and then together we can evolve into this 1 + 1 1. Then it's another way of paradigm that I'm not losing anything, or I'm not missing anything. That's why you fulfill me. It's not like that. And yes, somehow we have been finding out the way, and we had already more than 20 years together, happily together.
Happy.
Of course, ups and downs. We are humans, right?
And yes, of course. And after the travel, you guys ended up in Tacotal because we were just starting then. And I guess you knew Chris, right?
See?
And we had in the early days, there was 25 of us, I think, or more than that. I think there was 30 something members of Tacotal. And most of us, including myself, were not living on the land because we were working in the United States, and honestly, there was no infrastructure here. I mean, there was a water tank and a kitchen, but even me, who had experience living off the grid, was kind of intimidated by that reality. I'm not Costa Rican. I don't understand the jungle. So we were mostly working in the US, and we needed people to stay here on the land because it was a thing that we were worried about squatters and also just to hold space, and you guys showed up, and you were like the perfect people for this. Like,
It was so fun.
we are traveling the world, going to intentional communities, and we're Costa Rican, and your family apparently had history here, which I had no idea about.
Another synchronicity in that story. We are also related with that. There are not little or big miracles. There are just miracles happening always. Maybe we see them, maybe we don't. But we were in Atlántida, in Ecualdea Atlántida in Colombia, almost staying there. We love that community. And yeah, I just want to greet all of these intentional communities, and especially Atlántida, that was for sure very important.
How do you say it?
Atlántida
Atlántida
community. There I learned about dances of universal peace. There I learned so much about women gatherings and circles. I felt so much nourishment from Colombia, and especially from this Ecualdea Atlántida and all the people living there. Then thank you. And then when we were there, we received a message from Chris, knowing that Brad was there. We didn't know Brad. We didn't know you, Mafita. We know her, Maria Fernanda, Maria Fer. And then at some point, he said, you need to come, and you can be here, and then you can start a community here. It happened like a bellic situation there in Atlántida, not in Atlántida, but nearby in the Popayan town, that we were able to hear gongs, guns. And it was kind of intense, It was kind of far, but kind of close. Like, we were not used to that. When we hear this sound here in Costa Rica, it's because there are fireworks. It's something to celebrate. There is something to throw.
Yeah, there's no hunting here, really. I mean, there are illegal hunters occasionally, but it's nothing you're supposed to hear.
And this is directly to a person. This is for a person. People. Then we were like, okay, it was kind of not so easy to stay there for the situation of the country neither. Then we came, and then we arrived to Tacotal without any attachment of work. without any attachment of family. Family already thought we were crazy, without any attachment of children. Then we were perfect fit. We both, Tacotal received us and we received Tacotal as perfect match in that way. And somehow, because we came with this sensation of being guided, then it was perfect. We were guided there. That was the promised land. And in the sense, it was like, I do want to root myself, because we have been planting seeds in one place and then harvesting in the other and then enjoying all. But this sense, at least in my own cycle, inner cycle, to root, to feel the whole cycle of monthly or yearly.
I was just at a gathering the other day, and that was a big conversation topic, was like rooting and putting in roots. And there was a couple of people who was like, I feel like a planted pot. Like I want to put roots down somewhere, but I'm just being moved around. And yeah, this place for me, I felt the same. Like it was like very easy for me to feel like, nope, this is where I'm going to do it, right here. And the land was not very I mean, it's hard to like even go back there sometimes. Like when I look at what has been, by the way, we're in Ecovilla right now. We'll talk a little bit about this house that we're in. But like, you know, I mean, dude, we're surrounded by like community now. And back then the community we had La Libertad on the other side of the river. We didn't know anyone in Monterrey. And there was just, and Diego and Araceli at the end of the road, and a bunch of cows and horses.
It was very remote. Yeah, and I remember sometimes with Gustavo, just by the two of us, by ourselves, not even needing to talk. And not because of anything else, that we don't need to talk. I mean, we kind of felt when we were hungry, then we ate. We did our daily chores, and then we go to the river, and then we naked go in the river, and then lay down in the stones that was hot, being warmed by the sun. And I mean, that if I kind of remember it, it's like a story, you know, it's like surreal. And it's like,
you ever miss it?
Oh, I kind of enjoyed that so much, and I don't know if I miss it. I'm satisfied of what I lived, and sometimes I go naked to the river. But the thing is that you know, it was needed, and my spirit needed. I remember dialoguing with the forest. I remember communicating with the birds, knowing when the rain or a storm will come, and I kind of have a track of this, like if it was another timeline, you know, like if it was not in this, because afterwards, when we are surrounded by so many other stimulus, even if here or that we kind of get more comfortable, I never felt lack of there in Tacotal. We didn't have any internet. We have the water from the spring. We didn't have
power,
electricity.
No electricity.
Then we cook with
candles and fire.
Exactly. Then the circadian cycle was part of us, and I never felt lack of.
No.
Never.
No, it was I feel the same way. It was like a really special time that I wonder, like, finding the balance of like, what am I giving up by joining the convenience world and joining, you know, I don't know. It's a funny thing, like refrigerators even. That was like such a huge upgrade for us. Like
now we do have a little fridge in our home in Tacotal as well.
I know.
But you know, I won't change this neither. I am so happy. I'm so happy to be comfortable here, to have a beautiful community, to enjoy all the amenities of the community and the activities. Then I'm satisfied here as well. I'm very grateful of the abundance in this other shape. It's just that I do remember my spirit being much more sharp in the sense of communicating with nature.
And I hope that's kind of my hope for like all the people that are coming to this area and like coming to these kind of, not like ready built, but like in some ways like things are kind of set up and like there's a system in place now, and some houses already built. So some people are just buying houses. They're not even building or spending time on, you know, we spent time on raw land and then, you know, really got to be in tune with the nature and live in tents and whatever. And I think that was really special. I hope that people can still have that kind of connection here, because I think it's a different thing.
Somehow this is what you do in Finca Vida Verde, right? Is to bring this experience. Yeah. And I noticed that people from all over the world that come to visit you, you are like showing this way. And this is very valuable for these souls. And for sure, this is something that people bring back to wherever they go after. as a great remembrance. Then you are being steward of this experience, and this is wonderful. I mean,
feel
we
so
should
seen by you, Rosa. Thank you. That's what we're trying to do. Yes.
see for
Yeah.
sure, for
But
sure.
thank you for reminding me of that. 'Cause sometimes
It's a mission.
when you're
So-
when you're in the thing, you know, it's like when you're trying to pay the bills and trying to do this. It's like that was the mission. It still is the mission,
is.
but it's like
It needs to be sustained. It needs to be regenerative as well.
yeah,
Yeah, and it will. It should, because we as humans, we have been so disconnected from nature, and guess what? We are nature.
yeah.
Then it's like being away from our own selves. In when we are in contact with nature, like people that visit you in Vida Verde, like people that go to the river, and then we remember something that maybe we don't understand it, but we ourselves remember, and then that's why people feel better when they go to the forest. It's forest therapy. They charge for that
Yeah.
now. They
I know
charge
forest bathing. I've had forest bathing workshops, and it's like just hang out in the forest. And the good thing about there is it is all forest still. It's surrounded by forest. So you guys have a beautiful house in Alegria, in Tacotal. It's very rustic, much more rustic than that's the way we all used to live. I mean, it's very akin to the way we all lived, but it's still beautiful and it's natural, all natural, very artistic, creative, all natural walls. You have a solar system now. And it's for rent, right?
It is,
So-
yeah. Please come and enjoy
Yeah.
this connection with nature, because it is called Casa Mandala Natura. And that house was built while I was pregnant of Inti, my first son. I remember Gustavo was delivering the house. You know, it was this sense of
You were delivering
nest.
him and he was-
Exactly. Yeah, he was in this sense of I don't know, very healthy, masculine, like delivering the home, the nest for the family. And all of this intensity, because no roads, and bringing these big poles to be the and then I was just delightfully like, well, in the wealthiness moment of my life, just allowing me to see all of that. No need to work, not just dedicating my time for my child. And while my husband was
Working. Yeah.
building the house, then the house is full of this energy of a life sacred union energy, and then it's a great invitation, because there is already this comfy aspects of the fridge and solar panels. Just to connect with nature is a nice place to retreat.
Yeah, it really is. And it's also right next to Finca Vida Verde. So you guys we have our little, it's a cool space. And
Thank you for that.
and now you're here in La Ecovilla. So you guys had a couple kids, and that kind of shifted things. You moved to Cartago and did some time there while family was passing on and family things. But you moved back here to this house. This is Casa Peter Pan.
See, this is Gerard's house, and they call it Peter Pan's house because, the infrastructure is one of the most, how can I say it, like the rustic and also like earth building made house. It was built by this son Ray Kelly, that he was called the barefoot builder. He was walking barefoot in all over, seated by some hours, meditating from where the current of air comes, when the sun, and then deciding how to build it. And this house is alive. It's very beautiful. And then it's kind of similar of living in Tacotal in the sense of a live house. It's just that it has this rustic sensation that connects us as well to nature, among the other that have much more luxurious aspects around here.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a, what's the word? It's not a contradiction, but it's like when you have, this house is a very, like you said, it's all wood. It does remind me of a Tacotal house. It's like
it's like living.
And Sunray, you mentioned. I just wanted to say Sunray. He was such a special guy, man. I knew him really well. In fact, I didn't know he was here. I knew him from the U.S., from Washington or from California. He built the temple at Harbin Hot Springs. I think it burnt down. I think they rebuilt it. But basically, I was like walking up the road one day. I don't know, like 15 years ago, and like I hear pattering in the woods, and I'm like. And then I hear human, and I'm like, what is going on? What is that? Some kind of animal? I like look over, and I see Sunray like in the bushes, like with no, like you said, barefoot, with just his like fabric pants on and his like vest. He always wore a vest and no shirt.
Such a cartoon.
And I was just like, oh my God. So this house is beautiful. It's all natural. And Chris and Eduardo, I think, also helped to do some of the walls. Sunray did the structure, and it's all earth-based. And yeah, it is kind of a different compared to a lot of the, and I think Juliet's house also has like the natural building and a few others, but a lot of the new ones are really, yeah, like cement and metal, and it's a contradiction. Not a contradiction. What's the word?
It's a diversity. It's diverse,
Yeah,
as we all.
diversity. That's a better word. Yeah. Like anyway, this suits you very well. Okay, we don't want to get too wrapped up in all. There's so much to talk about. What are you doing now? Like you're doing your dentistry, but you're also hosting women's circles, right? Or retreats, or
There's often, like at least once per year, I love to hold a big woman gathering that is linked to remember all together as women, and to, rather than to lead it into a pole of expression, like feminine or masculine or whatever. Is more the recognition of the self and the integration of the self. Then we move through different initiations, and this is my role, we may say it, as a priestess of the temple of life, that for sure I need to embody it, I need to live it in my own life. And then I enjoy so much because we gather with all these women. We did the last gathering, we were like almost 50, 60 women in the yoga shala here in Lev, and then we went to the river, we did our offerings, we sing, and it's just as simple as that. And every Tuesday we have the woman singing circle. That it was not my started. I just took it because I fall in love of the space. Then it's like that. Probably when I leave, if I leave, someone else will take it, hopefully, because it's such a nourishing space. It could be 1 or it could be 10 or it could be 20, but when we join, it's deep. It's deep. We do a deep prayer that we know is not only for us there, that we are adding and expanding for our families, our communities, our world, and it's the way that we can do something. There are so many things happening in the world that we know are deep. And so many persons and women that cannot get in those ways, that cannot express in such ways. Then we should do it. We can, and then we should do it.
Well, and it requires, I mean, it's not the norm in the world, It's like you go leave Ecovilla or you leave this area, and there's not a lot of people that know about that. I mean, there's yoga shala, there's yoga classes, but like the deep spiritual work is like, that's a special thing that I think we sometimes forget and maybe even take for granted, is how blessed we are to live in a world with other people who are so deeply connected. One of the most special things about this community, I think, is like I find a lot of people that have a deep spiritual practice or a connection, and I think that's why they felt called here. Even it's like, because out in the world, when I'm out traveling or whatever, it's like I meet cool people, I meet spiritual people, but this place has a special thing, and you're bringing a lot by teaching people what you know, because there's people who come here seeking that knowledge, right?
Yes, like I remember when living in Cartago, I was I want a women's circle. I want to join. There was none. Then I began one. And in this place, that also another gratitude for Frank Mora in Casabasanda. And he opened his doors and his heart for all my crazy ideas somehow, that he was already into that tune. We have been like such a team in those 5 years that we were there. And then we began the Semilla Creadora, the creative seed. And then it has been there. Now the other priestesses took it. Because this is the thing, we don't own anything. You don't own Vida Verde. We don't own anything. We just kind of put the idea, yes, like go there, yeah, breathe in. Breathe in the air. Because it's true. We think, just that, it's a thought, it's a belief. But at some point, we will leave the body, and then what is left is what we truly transmit, what we truly manifest into expansion. Then in the moment that we believe that we own, then it's contraction. and it cannot expand in that way as it could, because life tends to expansion and to flow. Anyways, the thing is that many of these women that are spread all over Costa Rica, they do have many circles in Costa Rica now. It's a big movement of women's circles. And also this mission somehow, or this call that I have, that sometimes I wonder from where this call comes from. I do my own self-reflections of if it's something you want to protagonize, you want to think that you can teach, things like this, but it's not that, I finally observed that this truly comes from an authentic place of sharing, of me reflecting what we are able somehow to commit, to express, to live through in this beautiful, gorgeous, amazing life. Then being a human being in the most beneficial way for all. That's why we are here. Somehow we have this canvas, this white canvas when we arrive, and then we start to combine all the colors. Then these retreats that I facilitate, that are for recognition of the human kindness that we have.
Hey, that's my name.
See? It's very beautiful. And there is this retreat coming.
I was going to say, you have one coming up?
See?
Yep.
Yeah, there's this beautiful teacher and friend since 15 years ago. She's in her 80s or so. She still teaches in university. She still writes books, and she still travel and organize retreats all over the world. And she's coming to have her celebration of birthday in Costa Rica. And then we're having a retreat, and it will happen in Casa Cura Corazon in Sasha and Bjorn. Imagine the name. Casa Cura Corazon means Healing Heart House.
Yeah.
Then we will have it's called the Alchemy of Transformation, and we are always transforming and transmuting. This is our alchemy, and we somehow miss this part, and we get frustrated because not understanding the laws of the alchemy that is magic. And it's magic with our awareness, that this is what we are able to do. Then we want to gather and share spiritual practices toward navigating these times of deep transformation that we do know. We know it also from Caipacha. All of these moments are truly intense. Nobody can say are not. Are truly intense. And how can we navigate them and being alive and being joyful? And not because sadness is bad. It's very needed and very, very important. It's just that we can even be sad and know that is for a biggest benefit. That is a transition, and how to empower ourselves on that.
And how can people find your course? How do they sign up? Is there a website? Is there your Instagram or what?
Yeah, they can contact me by my phone or by my Instagram. My Instagram is Rosa, like my name, low
Underscore.
Nur Jamila.
Nur Jamila. We'll put it on the
Thank you.
screen.
Or my phone, my WhatsApp. Maybe you can share that.
Sure.
See.
If you can reach out to the podcast if you're interested in attending.
This will be last weekend of October.
Last week in October. So it's and how many days is it?
Only the weekend. It's from Friday till Sunday. Friday evening, all the Saturday, and Sunday until lunch. We will include also a family constellation therapy to make a broader observation of our relationship, not only in our family constellation, in our blood family, but in the sense of unity that we are needing to understand, or not to understand, to express, to perceive, to be aware of in these times, that we are truly, whatever we do for us, we are truly impacting all. We are truly impacting all. Everything that we do, we cannot pretend to serve others if we are not serving ourselves, if we are not observing ourselves first. Then we do need to do internal work for sure.
Okay, if you're feeling the call, contact us. We'll put you in touch with Rosa. I think we're kind of out of time. We have so much more we could go into, envision, singing. Anyways, there's so much we could talk about. But I just want to say how much I appreciate you, Rosa, your words, your wisdom, all the singing we've done together, community life over the years. Thank you.
I do appreciate as well all the mission that you do also with the podcast. For me, I'm a follower. I'm a follower because I love to know about people that we are surrounded, that only in these kind of settings we get to know a little deeper. Sometimes not even in a conversation, because it's a life expression there in the podcast. And thank you for your mission as well. Many thanks. Many thanks to Ivan también,
Yes.
behind the scenes. Like, he takes care of all the curating the details.
All right. Well, Rosa Blanco, thank you so much.
you.
Okay. Wow. This is La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human. We release episodes every Tuesday on YouTube at La Vida Verde podcast. I want to say thank you to Guillaume Cellier Massage Therapy, offering a most exclusive massage experience. Please go check him out. Support him if you want a massage. Thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you to Ecoteas Yerba Mate and Stefan for keeping me charged. Also want to say thank you to our patrons. If you're interested in supporting this podcast, $5 a month, you can go to Patreon. It helps keep us going, keeps paying the bills. You can find us on Instagram at Finca Vida Verde CR. We are on Facebook, Finca Vida Verde, and fincavidaverde.com. We'll be back next week with another great episode. Thank you so much.
Gracias.
Pura vida.